This is the judge, jury, and executioner of professional wrestling, the judge, Joe Dred, and you're tuning in to Drinking at Mo's.
This is Drinkin' at Mo's, where we talk about the pros of pro wrestling in the Midwest while sipping on some brews with blessed beers and wrestling. That's my scene. Deathmatches and lucha libre, it's all so mean. I'm a straight up smart goofball, not no kiss ass. I stand tall when it comes to wrestling. I'm the king. I know every move, every fling. Get ready for a wild time with Drinkin' at Mo's, where we don't quit. Drinkin' at Mo's, that's where it's at, like a power bomb. We hit hard, never flat. Fucking right, we're living the dream. Talking about wrestling, know it's a scream.
You know, I've always said here at Drinkinatmos, just because it says Drinkin' at Mo's does not mean it has to be alcoholic. So I'm happy to say Drinkin' at Mo's is sponsored by Prince Nana Coffee. The exact same guy you see every week on Dynamite, on Collision. Yes, he has his own coffee, and it's freaking delicious. They don't even roast those beans until you've placed your order. And you might be telling me, hey, Big Mo, I'm more of a tea guy. They got you covered there, too. Use the referral link in the description of this video. And let's get you dancing like Prince Nana with Prince Nana Coffee. All right, everybody, welcome Drinking at Mo's. Big Mo here. You know the drill with YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. Because, you know what, I don't even care about that timer some people have. YouTube's algorithm's a pain in the ass. We're in most places you can find audio podcasts too. I am particularly excited today to have with me Judge Joe Dred. How are you doing?
Better than I deserve.
Yeah, with the weather we got going on here in Nebraska right now, feeling like we're in goddamn Antarctica. Yeah, I can kind of relate.
That's why you got to move to California, the greatest state in the country.
Hey, most of my enlistment was down there in San Diego, so I can verify. I loved it there. I often joke that if I could afford it without the Navy, I'd probably still be there.
That's what most people say, but they're poor. So
yeah, I'm not exactly rich, but yeah. So first thing I like to start off with everybody when they first come on the show, what got you started as a fan, and then what got you deciding to make the leap into the business?
I started watching professional wrestling not like most people. I grew up with my grandmother who was from Michoacan, Mexico, and she watched CMLL and AAA, La AAA. And I watched that on Telemundo, would come on sometimes. And to me, it was more like watching like a cartoon of like Spider-Man or something, like live action Spider-Man. And there was a couple of guys who were in there who were starting to show up wearing T-shirts that said ECW on them. So then I one day was on the TV Guide and I saw that ECW 2 Raw for TV was coming on at 10 o'clock at night. So I asked if I could stay up late and watch it. And I stayed up and my grandma let me watch it because she thought it was just Lucha Libre, and it wasn't. And it was like clips and highlights from past ECW events. And the one that caught my eye the most of seeing Psychosis, Rey Mysterio, Jerry Lynn, RVD, Sabu, was watching Cactus Jack and Terry Funk. And both those guys had just captivated me. Just the way that they did their backstage promos, the way they were beating each other. So there was a local mom and pop video store in my town that my grandma took me to, and they had a section for wrestling. We would pass by it sometimes. And I literally went there, and I went and flipped every DVD over. And any DVD that said Terry Funk or Cactus Jack, I would make a pile. And there was one DVD in particular that I never returned it, and I still have it to this day. And it was When Cactus Jack Attacks, FMW. And so I watched it, and I would wait till my grandma was at work and I'd come home from school and I watched it and I was like hooked. It was explosions, barbed wire, nail boards. Like it was just the most intense thing I'd seen. And so I hid it under my bed. I didn't want to return it. And then I started getting really into, WWE, ECW, things like that. But as I got into my like teen years, I got into tape trading. So watching TODs and watching Ring of Honor, like Samoa Joe, CM Punk era, and fell in love with guys like the Necro Butcher, who were on Ring of Honor. They were just different.
Yeah.
There were so many guys that could be technical wrestlers in Ring of Honor. There were so many guys that could be big dudes and body guys. There was one Necro Butcher, and
Yeah.
I was like, this guy's good. And then growing up here in California, Southern California, there was PWG, and then he would fight Super Dragon and just beat the brakes off guys. And that's how I got into it. Specifically, deathmatch wrestling was something I always wanted to do, and I was kind of conditioned early in. To me, as a big fan of like Cactus Jack and Terry Funk, it was like the highest level of competition. Like watching him in WWE, it was so many rules and regulations, but not everyone could do the death match.
Yeah.
There was guys that could do this level of competition with the rules and restrictions and regulations. But when it's a fight, these guys would drown against Cactus Jacks and Terry Funk. And so I got into it. I had a background in music, and I was touring in a band for a long time. And unfortunately, my grandmother had gotten sick and died really young of cancer. And I decided it was a motivator for me to make the jump and try professional wrestling. So hung up my instruments, went to wrestling school, got kicked out of wrestling school because I wanted to do deathmatch, and started training some more. And then from there, just kept going and going and trained with, one of the guys that really influenced me the most was Southern California kind of legend named Terex. His wrestler XPW.
Oh yeah. I'm
Been
very familiar.
my biggest supporter, my biggest mentor, one of my best opponents I've ever gotten to wrestle. And then from there, I got hooked up with Paul London. I've been training with Paul London ever since then. And then realistically, once I got into XPW, when they came back in Southern California, I knew that's like where I wanted to be because I wasn't traveling. There wasn't a lot of deathmatch here in Southern California other than Crimson Crown, Sage, and an awesome promotion that I've worked for that they gave me a chance as well. So a lot of people thought like I was really, really new, which to some degree I was wrestling guys in the circuit, but I was doing it grinding for quite a while to try to get in and get my feet wet, in the blood-soaked waters of deathmatch wrestling.
Oh man, you bring up Terex, like very familiar with him. I've actually had him on, like I got to go look back up what number episode that was, but I actually saw him a bunch when I was down in San Diego for the promotion that actually got me started watching independent wrestling. It was ran by, one of the guys was in the Navy himself at one point, but a new wave pro wrestling that was down in San Diego. They got me started, and I saw him, and I remember one time I went by myself, and he came out, and I saw, okay, for those that don't know who this man is, he's a pretty big, beefy
400-pound giant. The 400-pound giant.
That can pull off. That can pull off standing moonsaults.
Yep.
That, like, you would
athletic
not
as hell.
Oh God, yeah. And then one of the next shows, I took a friend of mine. Terex came out, and then I could see he was about to go for that again, and I just kind of nudged my friend. I'm like, dude, watch this. And then the look on his face, I'm like, dude. Yeah, it was something else. And I've been lucky enough to have, like I said, a bunch of deathmatch, my favorites on from Alex Colon. It took me damn near a year But I've now had this man on twice, John Wayne Murdoch.
Yeah.
He's nothing but great things to say about him. But one...
John.
Oh, go ahead.
No, John's awesome.
Oh, yeah. But one place that I've actually had a person that I believe it was the 2022 winner of the CZW Tournament of Death on, Bobby Beverly. And I remember thinking back that, when some of my first memories of watching deathmatch wrestling was some of those early Tournament of Deaths, the Cage of Death. And then they seem to kind of, like, I guess for the lack of a better way to put it, kind of phase out the ultra violence a little bit. But now they're like almost full force going back into it with, full on with the Tournament of Death that you've been a part of, Cage of Death, which some of my earliest memories were some of those Cage of Death highlights that I'd find on YouTube. Just some of the craziest stuff. Yeah. And now you're a part of it with CZW. What has it been like there for you since, they're bringing back some of what really no disrespect intended, but it definitely put them on the map. Some of those Tournament of Deaths and the Cage of Deaths.
Yeah. Well, first off, you're welcome. I single-handedly carried the banner of the golden era of CZW being brought back. It is now the Platinum Judge Joe Dred era. And I would like to sit here, and we can go on, probably run out of battery on whatever rinky-dink laptop you have before we could actually barely get the cusp of my greatness. But more so, the fact that you can tell that it means a lot to deathmatch wrestling that it's happening, that old hacks like Nick Gage have to come and rain on my parade when I win Cage of Death. When I make the finals of TOD single-handedly, all by myself, only to lose in a fluke in a match that should have been stopped. It means a lot to know that something that I grew up watching with such great wrestlers like J.C. Bailey, Danny Havoc, Brain Damage, Masada, all these people, like my brother Alex Cologne's, to be a part of it, to spill blood, to spill others' blood, to make this happen, to fight with the managements to say we got to make this happen, to be undeniable. It means a lot to be a part of it. I was tape trading back in the day, CZW Tournament of Death. I think I have just about, I'm missing a handful of Tournament of Death DVDs. But it goes to show when you see wash-ups like Nick Gage showing up back up because he wants a piece of the pie, how great it is for deathmatch wrestling. And I'd like to just say to all deathmatch fans, you're welcome for that.
Hey, thank you indeed, because I know for myself, CZW was part of, getting me started, being a fan of death matches. So when I see it coming back in the way that it is, it's something great for me for sure. And the thing is, you're not just with the death matches there. You're like coast to coast, from like King of the Kill 2 in Michigan. I was actually watching, I forget what night, but I ended up having an interview with somebody that we'll talk about a little later, that he told me, oh, I haven't had my match yet. And then I ended up talking with him right after the match. What was, King of the Kill like for you? Because, I mean, much like Tournament of Death, King of the Kill is becoming one of those, like, staple deathmatch tournaments.
Absolutely. The first time I was able to wrestle in the Midwest in a ring was for Ruthless Pro, and I was invited to the first King of the Kill that they had, wrestling Hoodfoot, going from losing in the first round then and coming up short to going back, game planning, and making it all the way to the finals. only to once again be robbed by that idiot Matt Tremont and by that absolute buffoon Schlack. Um, it was business as usual. The plan seemed to be going its way, but it's awesome to be a part of something new, as well as being able to honor the legacies of being a part of TOD a month later. Before that, something that's rising, and a lot of the big rising stars, guys who are hungry, who still love this sport of deathmatch wrestling. That this is not some thing that they do because they think it'll make them popular. This isn't a popularity contest. It's guys who want to compete at that high level to honor guys that I think in the vein of deathmatch wrestling, the Terry Funks, the Hayabusas, the Cactus Jacks, guys like that. They want to honor that legacy and continue to do so. It was fun to be a part of. Granted, management needs to get their people under control and stop screwing over the talent, but whatever.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to get to have a few people from Ruthless Pro on, and much like our mutual friend of ours, Peapod, shout out to him. But
He's okay.
Oh, he's been pretty good to me, offering me advice and everything. But you've also been, like I said, around this whole words are hard, coast to coast around this country, and one place that I guess it makes sense, being based in California, but West Coast Wrestling Company, they've had an unfortunate thing happen with their founder, and I actually had him on, so that was one that, even though I didn't get to know him as well as a lot of the talent that had been through there, it was still like a holy shit moment for me too.
Yeah.
And going to, we mentioned Revolver in I believe it was a beer garden death match with a bunch of people that, we mentioned Alex Colon. We've mentioned it. Well, we didn't mention this guy, but Akira. I've had him on too. Love that guy. But man, what's it been, for you to really represent the whole of deathmatch wrestling, just literally across the entire country?
For me, it's meaningless. It's whatever. It's a job. I make my money. At the end of the day, if I'm not the one that's going to the winner's pay window, it means nothing. Um, Constantly getting screwed out of things is that. But to be able to travel and to see the look on people's faces when they do raise my hand, and the look of disgust on all their faces, it warms my heart to have people have their dreams shattered, to have their hopes broken. It's Christmas. It's Christmas every single time, and
Oh yeah.
it's great, especially because I think for so long, the West Coast and Southern California uh, has been counted out in terms of not just deathmatch wrestling, but independent wrestling. And to be able to go out there and represent, um, I really look at it that way. There's so much talent in Southern California wrestling that should be broadcasted nationwide in the independent scenes. There's some tough bastards out there, guys like Rob Shit, guys like Bad Dude Tito, guys like Slice Boogie, um, some of the biggest and baddest. I mean, like people wouldn't think about it even, but like Paul London, like I've wrestled Paul a few times, and he's no joke. He kick you right in your teeth, punch you right in your jaw. That dude has been up and down, and representing those kind of guys when I go out there, that's the only thing that kind of does motivate me, is to remind people like who the hell we are in Southern California, um, and representing that. So,
Oh yeah, and I can agree that there was a time when Southern California independent wrestling was definitely out there, because a lot of the talent that was out there, but some are getting somewhat slept on now, and that's why one of the areas that I love to highlight as much as possible is people from Southern California, because I mean, spent 4 years of my life in San Diego. I consider it like a second home. So anytime I get to highlight anybody from down there, love it. Much like people local to me, people that I'm, passionate about, that I just get excited watching them, love having them on. So I love that you have that passion for representing people like, in your area, and a place that, we've talked some about, FMW over in Japan. I don't believe that you've been over there yet.
No.
And I would venture to say it's safe to say that that's like on your list of you want to get that done. Like,
don't care.
As soon as possible.
Don't care.
Don't
care. No, it's wherever people want to prove that they have the best and the baddest. They want me over there probably faster. All these places want me. They call me. I don't call them. I don't do the thing where I badger and get in people's DMs. I do my job. I show up. I train. I go there to give my best, try to beat the brakes off my opponent, try to get my hand raised at the end of the day, and get my money and get the fuck out of there. Get back to Southern California where it's 73 degrees in the wintertime.
Yep, you don't have to worry about negative 12s like I did today. But no, that is something. When you have them coming to you and you're not searching them out. Like, I've had people talk to me with, regards of asking, oh, have you had people reach out to you to come on? I'm like, it happens. And they're like, that's when you got something going, when you're doing something right, is when they're reaching out to you. That is awesome. All right. So I got two categories here. One's a bit of a name game where I name off some people. You give me some quick thoughts on them. Each of these people have two things in common. You've, at the very least, shared a locker room with these people, if not shared a ring with them, and they've also been on the show previously. First one, Death Fighter Akira.
I actually, one of the few people that I surprisingly liked. I was paired with him at Revolver. We share a mutual, somewhat mentor in the Necro Butcher, which I was surprised at. He's a lot more flashy than I would care to like, but I thought we had a good time, and in pairing, I look forward to maybe seeing that down the line. We've never faced one-on-one. I wouldn't back down from that fight, but I would say I like him. Do I respect him? I don't know yet. Very few people respect him.
That's one I would love to see for sure. Now, next up, Madman Pondo.
Oh, Pondo. I've had the honor of facing him in the ring as well at this last year's TOD. And again, one of the guys that, like Necro, the original and only Baka Gaijin, paved the way for guys like me. And so, as much as I don't really give respect out to most people, nor do I have to like them, I do respect Madman Pondo for just what he's done for our business, what he continues to do, and also building a bridge for guys who do have that dream of getting to Japan. And honestly, still being on top of the food chain in Japan. So.
Oh, yeah. It's one thing I remember talking with him, was calling him, obviously a legend, because, I mean, that's what he is. And, being, humble, he was downplaying it, but I was telling him, and when a lot of people think, as overplayed as it is, Mount Rushmore's a this or that. When people say Mount Rushmore's a deathmatch wrestling, more often than not, you're on it. And we had that. So next up here, a guy that we mentioned before recording that I had actually just recorded with him last night, Nathan Mowry.
A kid could take an ass beating. I'll tell you that. He take an ass beating. I think there's a few screws loose. I don't know if it's his genetics, the fact that his parents look related, if he's hanging out with the weird face painted backwoods cult, whatever that may be. It may be that he hangs out with the hardcore hillbilly way too much. But I will say it's impressive when you give what you feel like should put the average man away, and he keeps coming back for more. I was really, I don't know about impressed. I don't know about impressed, but I was very curious and very intrigued by his performance against Hoodfoot and just the amount of blood he's willing to spill. I think that's something about this sport that people don't realize is it's not just about the damage that you can dish. It's how much blood can you spill as your opponent spills blood and you continue to stand to your feet. And that's a dangerous sign that someone may be made for this when you spill as much blood as he did and kept coming back for more. So,
Yeah, that definitely. And, deathmatch wrestling, much like a lot of forms of wrestling, it has its supporters like myself. It has its detractors like people we don't care about. But the thing is, when it's done right, when it's done by guys like you, like Madman Pondo, like Nathan Mowry, it's just like any other form of wrestling. You just got the crazy deathmatch elements surrounding it that, for guys like me, just add that much more excitement to it.
yeah.
All right. Last but not least, here, I mentioned that I recorded with somebody right after their match at King of the Kill weekend that he ended up. I didn't realize he was going to be facing this. He wasn't. I didn't realize he was going to be facing B-Boy, but Eric Dillinger.
Eric Dillinger is, to me, the epitome of a cockroach. Because no matter how many times I beat the brakes off of him, up and down, left and right of this nation, he keeps coming back for more. And the last time him and I fought, thanks to, again, another outside interference and someone sticking their nose in my goddamn business who didn't need to be. It was a sore loser in Casanova Valentine. Eric Dillinger got one up on me. And I look to avenge that loss. I've brought my injustices. I've had my attorney, Stephen Jury, come to the powers that be. And the next time we're in Chicago for White Line Fever with Seven and Ruthless Pro, we are going to get that rematch. And I'm going to have to teach him a lesson because I feel like because of that win he has, he's got a big head. He's gone to Japan. He's done all these things now. He thinks he's somebody. And I think because that he thinks he's better than me, which means he must not respect me. So I've requested that we make sure that after this match, he learns some respect. So there's nowhere he can run, nowhere he can hide. It will be a leather strap match. So I can beat the respect into him. So
that is going to be something. I look forward to seeing that one go down. Yeah. You know what? In one way, I can kind of have some level of respect for people that, no matter how many times they get knocked down, they just keep getting back up, keep coming back for more. So I can have a level of respect for that. Now, I got some random questions, some wrestling related, some not, some nothing to do with anything we talked about so far. So I give you the question, first answer that pops into your head. First question here, craziest in-match moment for you. And I'm sure there's plenty of them.
Craziest in-match moment for me would probably be being in the ring with the Necro Butcher.
That would fit.
And throwing hands with him, taking him to the ground, and giving him everything I got. Just because he says it himself. That's one of the few people that I have respect for. He's a unique fraternity. Anybody that wants to be anybody in this sport has got to go through him. You talked about the Mount Rushmore of deathmatch wrestlers. I've heard him say it, and I think it's true. When it comes to the Mount Rushmore, the top 10 toughest SOBs in this business, you can put him anywhere you want on that list, 1 through 10. But he says, "You promise you this: the other 9 send him birthday cards." He's a tough SOB, and so to be in there, throwing hands with him, and giving everything I got, it was definitely one of the craziest moments because it's like it's sink or swim. Either you get to find out whether you're meant for this or you're not. And so, that was a great moment of self-realization of all the work that we've put in, myself and Stephen Jury and Paul London's and Terex's. So yeah.
Oh, definitely. You'll find out quick with a guy like Necro Butcher, like hell, even Madman Pondo, and
Yep.
some others, that would be on that Mount Rushmore. You'll find out quick whether or not you have it against those guys for sure.
Oh yeah.
All right. Now, I like to ask everybody that I've had on that's even dabbled in deathmatch, what is a weapon you would like to avoid being used in a match if you had the choice, if anything?
I don't shy from anything.
Okay, I can respect that.
Yeah.
I can definitely respect that. All right. Now, display behind me, I got a bunch of my collections, wrestling, Ninja Turtles, all that. I got souvenir shot glasses. What is we talked a little bit, but hobby you have, like, let's say, if you can think of it off the top of your head, like a most valuable item that you can think of.
Most valuable item I think I have personally is I have and this was like an assist from my brother Alex Colon that he found for me online, and he knew I wanted it. It is a mint condition box set of the Japanese version of Beyond the Mat with a Japanese Chara Pro of Terry Funk's ECW attire.
Ooh.
In the box with the box set with the Japanese cover DVD of Beyond the Mat, as well as postcards and a T-shirt from Beyond the Mat and the Japanese release.
Wow.
That's like my prized possession. I'll never sell it. I'm sometimes unloading and offloading gear. I've got plenty of other couple variants of the Chara Pro Texas Bronco Terry Funk. Probably second to that would be my Stan Hansen Chara Pro that I got from Joel Bateman. But that one probably stands. The Terry Funk, Beyond the Mat set is probably my most prized possession. Only second to, like I said, my Stan Hansen, and maybe I just picked up this limited variant Great Muda that has the little like mouth alien head on the side. But yeah, that's probably my most prized.
Yeah, I can dig that. Some of my most prized ones I've shown you, but one that I actually have behind, displayed behind camera here, I actually got when I was going to a concert for a favorite. I mean, country music isn't for everybody, but Nebraska, I'm bound to become a fan of some people. I went to a concert for favorite of mine. Went early because it was all general admission to see how close I could get. Before I know it, he's pointing down at me, and I'm looking like, what? Well, one half of it, before I know it, I'm shotgunning a beer on stage with Dirks Bentley. I still have the can.
Wow.
And towards the end of the show, he points back at me, and I'm again looking like, what? Hey. Then he starts motioning for something to write with, grabs the guitar from one of his bandmates that was playing it, signs it, walks over, and hands it to me, and I got it hanging up on the wall back there.
Damn.
Yeah.
He must just look like the most white trash guy he knew. He's like, this guy deserves this.
Hey, I mean, I've been accused of that before.
Fair enough. You're from Nebraska, so imagine your wife's your sister or something. So
no, I didn't go that far into it. But
okay.
Anyways, so now with the name of a show like I have, I feel like I have to ask this: favorite drink, alcoholic or otherwise?
Probably my go-to. I drink energy drinks a lot. I'm straight edge. I've never tried alcohol.
I can respect that.
Never tried it. Never will. Just because nothing more than just I'm a better person than people who do drink. But I think right now my go-to drink is actually these things called Elements, LMNTs. My manager Stephen Jury and his lovely personal trainer slash nutritionist, his mother, got me hooked on these. I lose a lot of blood. I train a lot. I've worked really hard, especially this last year. Going to the finals to a lot of these tournaments means nothing if you don't win. And so coming to this next year and hitting it hard, I decided to train a lot more. I even posted on social media just the transformation from last year to this year. So I train a lot. I go to the gym every day, but also train 3 times a week with Paul London and the class there and the guys just getting better, sharper. With that, it's like kind of hard to stay hydrated. So these elements are like electrolyte drinks. They're like very salt based, not a ton of sugars or added things to them, just to rehydrate you from lifting and training. So those are like my go-tos because before I go to a match, I like to be as hydrated as possible. I anticipate that I might lose a lot of blood. I anticipate spilling a lot of blood and lifting and throwing guys around, beating the piss out of them before I train. That's usually what I'll go for. So that's kind of been my go-to drink. If I'm not drinking that, it's just sparkling water. Just water, as much water as I can get.
Nothing wrong with that. And like I've told plenty of people that, just because it says drinking at Moe's doesn't mean that it has to be alcoholic. Hell, most of the time when I'm recording these, I probably drink a few too many Dr. Peppers, but I'm a Dr. Pepper fiend. But, I've had plenty of people on straight edge, recovering addicts. So I try to be respectful of that. Hell, Jake Christ, I had him on. He was, you brought up Joel Bateman. He actually faced Joel Bateman in the first ever death match I got to see in person.
That was a good match.
And I actually got a picture with Joel Bateman after the match, his face all bloodied up, and he's still, just grinning like it was.
It's just so crazy. The polar oppositeness of Joel and Alex and myself, because sometimes I sit in the middle, but I think it's just because I'm a sick person. I think it's fun when people are getting hurt. Like me and Joel had a good time with TOD, headbutting the piss out of each other, and that's somewhat fun. But then most of the time, Alex is just grumpy. He's just a grumpy, mean Puerto Rican man. Like two contrasts of these two short, bald men with beards together, and Joel after is like a little too happy for my taste. I'm like, bro, I want to sit down and I want to focus on everything. And he's just like happy to be here. I think my favorite thing about Joel is it happened at TOD, and I wish people knew more about the struggle of Joel in coming to America for the ring announcers, the pain he causes ring announcers. Because I don't know if you're aware where he's from. He is from Narm, which is Narm, like farm with an N. But because he has an Australian accent, it sounds like he's saying no, like I'm from Narm. And so when they ask him, where are you from? He says, I'm from Narm. And they go, Gnome? And he says, Narm. And he goes, Gnome? And I watched like back and forth like this, like, what does my tattoo say? Dude, what does mine say? Like him and the announcer was like, Narm, 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 Gnome, Narm, no, like farm with an with an N. So Nam, Narm, and it just goes up, and then finally I had to tell them after I've laughed enough. I go, he's saying Narm, FARM, like farm, and it's hilarious. Last time at TOD that happened, and they came to like, "Where are you from?" And he said, "Thank you" to my translator. I'm like, he speaks English. But that's one of my favorite parts of Joel is he still keeps a pretty good composure, even in something. If that was me, I'd be like, give me a pen. I'm writing it down.
Like, you know what? I probably would have been same boat there. I'm like, God damn it! I've explained this shit enough to you already. Let's write it down.
I would just have a cue card. That's what's from.
Oh yeah. All right. Last but not least, here, best advice that you have for anybody wanting to get into wrestling.
Don't, because you probably have to cross paths with me and some real ones, and you're not gonna like it. You'll probably quit. It sucks. Your body hurts. You'll cut yourself. Give up on your dreams, because if not, someone like myself or someone else in Bloodfighter is going to crush your dreams, and then you're going to cry to your mother, and then they're going to give you some false hope, and that gets you nowhere. So sit on the sidelines and watch the real fighters do it, and watch Judge Joe Dred do what he does best. And you can just sit there and look at me and just never have to wonder, what if? Just know I'm not the one. There you go.
You know what? I know I wouldn't want to mess with you in there because, good Lord, I'm already banged up enough from the military. I'm like, I'm not not gonna try to fuck with that.
Yeah.
But all right. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me tonight. Before we go, where can people find you social media wise? So if they don't already have their eyes on you, which they should, they can go ahead and get them there.
Yeah, you can find me on all social media platforms at Judge Joe Dred, Dred, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, YouTube as well. You can catch me here on, don't know when this will come out, but you can catch me in Atlantic City on February 22nd at CZW's anniversary show. You can catch me the following weekend making my debut in for the first time ever in Canada at Canadian Deathmatch at their inaugural tournament, and the Crazy Eight. While we're competing in a non-tournament match. I think it's the first ever Light 2 prison match in Canada, which I feel sorry for the person that has to deal with that. And then, yeah, you can catch me anywhere there's probably deathmatch wrestling.
All right. We'll get all that in the description. But like I already said, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me tonight. It was an absolute pleasure. I look forward to keeping up with everything you got going with deathmatch wrestling as hell. You definitely got a damn fan in me.
Join the club.
Yeah. Goddamn fucking button. I got to fucking